let's step into the alternate fantasy universe for a sec. Now, now let's look and go over what's so great about the fantasy universe. You see, fantasy universe is all about the imagination, creativity, and the fun. Like those like the fictional TV networks, like those of Tajmir Network or Random RS or the Mouse 61. But outside of the fictional TV marketing universe, there is something there is something that's in our imagination. This being our own video game ideas. And there's another fictional thing that's actually non-existent. This being the fictional video games. If you are young and if you are a kid growing up, you wish you want to make your own video game, focusing on either action role play, racing. It can be anything. I dreamed about my own racing game as well. It's supposed to be for a kart racing scene or a regular car racing. You want to know what my fictional game idea was? Here's a hint. It's called Tajmir's Super Rumble Racing. This is basically a fantasy fictional video game developed by my very own imaginative small indie team, and it'll be focusing on the racing aspects alongside with crazy track designs, a lot of various ramps, loops, and bumps to go off of, and vehicular combat. But here's something that you really need to know. There's going to be a bunch of vehicle types, ranging from bikes, ATVs, sports bikes, cars, sedans, muscle cars, sports cars, hot rods, SUVs, trucks, big rigs, big trucks, trolleys, streetcars, even L trains. Yes, I'm actually adding transit vehicles in my fantasy video game. I actually dreamt about that. But this is something I picture in my imagination because honestly, I'm actually tired of all these AAA racing games that we had that really are a letdown. If only I had a very small indie team of my own, like 4 or 5 people, so we could all make something together. Because honestly, I had enough of certain developers not listening to fans, honestly. But we ain't gonna be talking about that. We're going to be talking about one of the video game fanons that really need to become reality. And this will be focusing on the Cartoon Network aspects. Remember my crossover branded kart racer video, which are considered a bad thing or not? Well, no. Well, let's recap. Well, crossover cartoon kart racers are considered a genre full of are considered a genre where you have various favorable characters like Johnny Bravo or SpongeBob SquarePants and racing against each other in a fun kart racer. However, when it comes to cartoon crossover branded kart racers, they can be very hit or miss when it comes to poor execution and various issues. Cartoon Network Racing and Nickelodeon Kart Racers are the main examples. Cartoon Network Racing suffered from a very unhinged AI, a very cringed AI due to rubber banding mechanics, terrible controls, and a lack of fun it has. Nickelodeon Kart Racers 1 suffered the very same issue, but due to its poor visuals, terrible AI, alongside with some things that really were not really and a botched battle mode. But what if Cartoon Network tries again in the modern day? What if Cartoon Network retried the kart racing scene again by trying to make a video game that fictionally and actually did it right and was made in house with help from a development team. This is the world of Cartoon Network Kart Racing, or stylized as a reboot called Cartoon Network Kart or Cartoon Network Racing 2023. Let's take a rundown on this fictional kart racing game that I just saw on the video game fandom Wikipedia. Cartoon Network Kart Racing, or stylized as Cartoon Network Racing 2023, is a racing video game developed by Cartoon Network Interactive, now Cartoon Network Games, and Avalanche Software, and published by Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment in North America. The game runs in Unreal Engine 5. The game features Cartoon Network characters and a crossover, including the Powerpuff Girls, Ben 10, Dexter's Laboratory, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, and even the Flintstones, alongside with other recent CN shows from 2014 and 2010, especially the late Cartoon Network shows. It was from the 2000s. CN Kart Racing is basically a parody budget Mario Kart series. However, it's a lot more similar as Nickelodeon Kart Racers 2 Grand Prix, F-Zero, DreamWorks All-Star Kart Racing, and Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. The game was fictionally released in 2023 for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series consoles, Nintendo Matrix, that's a fictional console. The Nintendo HDS, that's actually another fictional console, and Nintendo Switch. The character roster is basically the biggest character roster I've ever seen. It would be much great and need to become a reality if Cartoon Network would be up for the challenge. There are a lot of playable characters, from the Powerpuff Girls, Clarence, Ben 10, Dexter's Laboratory, Foster's Home, Johnny Bravo, Adventure Time, Ed, Edd and Eddy, Regular Show, Codename Kids Next Door, We Bear Bears, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Chowder, The Marvelous Misadventures of Flatjack, The Amazing World of Gumball, Steven Universe, Robot Jones, Cow and Chicken, Craig of the Creek, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Uncle Grandpa, OKKO, Apple and Onion, Victor and Valentino, Mau Mau Heroes of Pure Heart, Elliot from Earth, The Fungies, Tig and Seek, Samurai Jack, Teen Titans Go, Shaggy and Scooby-Doo from the Scooby-Doo series, The Flintstones, DC Superhero Girls, Hi Puffy Ami Yumi, Mighty Magiswords, Totally Spies, Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry, Sonic Boom, Speed Racer, Unikitty, Total Dramarama, The Life of Times of Juniper Lee, Mixels, and Johnny Test. Oh my goodness, that's a lot. That is way a lot of characters you could play as. There are also some bosses, like Mojo Jojo, Lena Lothar, Benedict Ben Uno, Vilgax, and the announcer Remote Control. And the game would have voice acting, actually. The game would have proper voice acting. And honestly, it would be very fun if the Cartoon Network characters interact with one another. If it does become reality, it would actually be an acceptable decision to add voice acting, and it would be done right. Like Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3, Cartoon Network Kart Racing will introduce us to karts and bikes from the respected shows. We got a Batmobile, golf cart, or Dondai Supremo, go-kart Magisword, the UGRV, Jake the Dog Car, the Flintstones Flipmobile, the Glitch Car, the Mystery Machine, Hi Hi Tour Bus, Doom Buggy with a Weapon, Rad's Van, the Kid Next Door Bus, the Roadster Truck, Space Tree Motorcycle, the Bat Scooter, Aerial Cycle, the Motorcycle Magisword, Enid's Motorcycle, and the Samurai Cycle. Most of the characters and vehicles will have to be unlocked. But how? Is it through the base game or online play? And if it does have crossplay, then that means it might be possible to have some of the carts and characters and bikes be unlocked through online play if crossplay was actually a thing. But we don't know for sure because it will take up a lot of time and development to make the game run. And besides, since the game is running in Unreal Engine 5, that means it would take a lot of time and development. So I'm not sure if the development of that of I'm not sure how the fictionalized development of the game was. So I say development started early 2019, 2020, or in early 2021. That means if it was presented at a demonstration scene, that means everyone might be excited. Everybody might be happy playing with the Cartoon Network characters in a kart racing scene. But it all comes down to debate and personal opinion. The items or weapons were also going to be introduced in this fictional kart racing game. This being, we have a few items which are basically like the type of weapons that you would see in Mario Kart. Here are the items in Cartoon Network Kart Racing: the green missile, red missile, blue missile, nitro boost, bomb, lightning strike, super horn, oil slick, landmine, special move, fake item cube, and a shield. Some of them functions the same way as as Mario Kart. The green missile probably a green shell, red missile is a red shell, the blue missile works as a spiny shell, landmines work like banana peels. The oil slick is basically some sort of random hazard to avoid. The special move is basically an all-star move, honestly. The Nitro Boost works as a mushroom. Lightning Strike is a lightning bolt power-up from Mario Kart. And the fake item cube is basically the fake item box. And the bomb is the bomb in Mario Kart. And the super horn acts like the same horn that's been seen in Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart World. We have numerous cups and tracks based from the respected shows, like Thunderhead Speedway from Speed Racer, the Park in Space from Regular Show, and the Uni Kingdom from Unikitty. It's also very nice that we actually got Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry alongside with the Mixels and Johnny Test being added in. And Juniper Lee also. Hi Hi Puffy Amiyumi is there. Totally Spies is there. Tom and Jerry. There's just so many interesting things to know. But what everyone would be more excited is that Speed Racer would be in Cartoon Network Kart Racing. Well, technically a Warner Brothers owned property. Actually, or probably not. It would be an understatement and would be a great thing to actually have Speed Racer in Cartoon Network Kart Racing. And this deal would be a great idea. It would be the first time that Speed Racer would be first time being mentioned in almost literal decades. So that means the hype would be unreal if it would be interesting. However, likewise, the character roster pick would be a mixed bag. For starters, we have a few shows that kinda would not be needed because because some of them because most shows got mixed opinions depending on who you ask. Mighty Magic Swords was made by the creator, who was honestly a scumbag who did some unacceptable things, alongside with Uncle Grandpa being mentioned for the first time and now being added in the kart racing scene. Not all people aren't going to be appreciated because of something that's completely made by the same people by who made Secret Mountain Fort awesome, and Total Dramarama, which nobody would not be caring about either. Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry, Totally Spies, Hi Hi Puffy Ami Yumi, or DC Superhero Girls, it's understandable. Teen Titans Go, oh yeah. Would not understand why it would be added, but it would be a fantastic addition if Teen Titans Go was added in the game. But what's even more appreciated is that Elliot from Earth, the Fungies, Tig and Seek, and Mau Mau Heroes of Pure Heart would be in the kart racing game. Apple and Onion too, not to mention Victor and Valentino, and OKKO, Let's Be Heroes, and the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. This is what CN Racing 2006 should have been like in the first place. I'm actually gonna describe this. This is actually what a new Cartoon Network Racing should have and be like. If it would be reality, if it actually is true. If it does come reality, it would be a great understatement. I mean, Cartoon Network has never been in the kart racing scene ever since 2006 because their two previous games flopped, with Cartoon Network Speedway being produced by DC Studios, who later became Firebrand Games in 2006, and Cartoon Network Racing 2006 being a failure because of the poor effort, or making everything very sluggish, and terrible design decisions and poor executions. To utilize other platforms, it would be released on Steam, Google Stadia, Amazon Luna, and Apple Arcade. If it really does become reality, I would actually pay some good money to pay for it. I'm not sure if what price of the game would be cost. So if the game actually costs at a measly $19 or $30, actually maybe $20, maybe I could buy it because it might be worth it. However, would the game be polished enough to justify a $50 price tag or a $30 price tag? We may never know. Because don't forget, we already had a few other kart racing games that did not get a good experience. Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3 mostly, because when that game came out, it had a disappointment, botched, poor experience. The Latin American team, Bantay Games, was running an Unreal Engine 4, and it's a shame that Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3 was abandoned and was left in the lurch like that. And honestly, in my case, it was a really big letdown. If CN Kart Racing actually become a thing, what would the reception be like? Well, it actually would receive generally favorable reviews or have a universal acclaim. However, if it would get mixed or average reviews, then maybe it might have a problem, I guess. It doesn't matter. If Cartoon Network tries the kart racing scene again and tries to make this game a reality, it would be nice because if Cartoon Network learned from their mistake, what caused Cartoon Network Racing and Cartoon Network Speedway to fail, and just retry it again, but this time try to listening to fans and try to fix aspects nobody didn't like and bring in what everyone needed that Cartoon Network Racing was missing, it would be a very great, satisfying experience. that's about it for the base game, but what about DLC? DLC wise, DLC, I believe we need more cartoons actually to be into the mix. Like we are missing I am Weasel actually. Yeah, I am Weasel. That would be a great fantastic addition to the game. Generator Rex, I see Generator Rex being a DLC to be part of DLC for the base game. And besides, it was actually needed in the first place, actually, too. Green Lantern, I see it being a DLC edition. And besides, Green Lantern, the animated series, aired on DC Nation as on the Cartoon Network in the first place. Young Justice, yeah, I see it becoming DLC. Camp Lazlo, yeah, it could come. My Gym Partner's a Monkey, yeah, DLC. That's honestly well needed. It Class of 3000, yeah, that might be needed as well. Given that Class of 3000 was also on Cartoon Network before it ended. Let's not forget about Symbionic Titan. Oh yeah, Symbionic Titan. Oh boy, Symbionic Titan really deserved better. But we do need more other varied vehicles around in Cartoon Network Kart Racing. We need the Rust Bucket from the original Ben 10. We also need more varied bikes and more varied karts. All Cartoon Network has to do is like look back at their previous Cartoon Network studio projects and bring in what cart or bike should be in the game as well. Like the Rust Bucket, for example. If you want to know what the Rust Bucket is it that's it's seen from the original Ben 10. You know, the RV that that was seen in every Ben 10 episode, you know. And we also needed some more Ben 10 characters to begin with. Where where's Max Tennyson? You know, Ben Tennyson's grandfather. He should be in it too. But what's also much more needed is that we needed like the Moxie show to be in Cartoon Network Kart Racing. Being that this is Cartoon Network's first original series after launching back in 1992, the Moxie show, yeah, it's honestly needed because honestly, that was supposed to be Cartoon Network's first mascot to begin with. And it's a shame, and it's a real shame that Cartoon Network still isn't learning in that the Moxie show even existed, even after debuting back in 1992. However, what I do appreciate the fact that Boskov with Hector from Evil Kong Carne and is now being meant would actually be mentioned in Cartoon Network Kart Racing. Being that both Hector and the Grim Reaper were seen from Grim and Evil, which both later spun off into their own shows, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy and Evil Kong Carne, it would be very nice. It's very nice. Additionally, if it had very great polish, then that means it would be able to justify whatever price tag it would have. So this is something. So this is a picture that everyone is still actually very great or big. This is something everyone needs to picture in their minds. If only if this ever becomes reality, which it'll never happen. And besides this, it would actually be nice that Cartoon Network would jump back into the kart racing scene because honestly, Cartoon Network is honestly running dry. Now, everyone is suggesting that Game Mill should get the Cartoon Network license. Well, not happening. Cartoon Network Battle Crashers already failed, so that's not going to happen. Also, I don't know. I don't know. We all know Game Mill's notorious for making shovelware games, which is not true. They're known for giving small development indie teams some teams bad times and short development, and later release them on the PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, PC, and Nintendo Switch. Only to overprice them, it had a botch poor experience. Remember Looney Tunes Wacky World of Sports, or it's made by Bamtan Games, and remember Big Rigs? I bet nobody doesn't remember that, because what was Game even thinking about? In conclusion and overall, it would be bizarre to see that Cartoon Network kart racing would actually be a thing, and would actually be a great understatement to be actually become reality. And be honest here, if the Cartoon Network kart racing tracks ever becomes a thing as well, it would be awesome. Especially Cartoon Network City in the Cartoon Network Cup. Other than Pork Belly Highway, the future Akio and Tokyo streets from Samurai Jack, Johnny Test, and Hi Hi Puffy Ami Yumi, the final cup in the Cartoon Network Cup will have to be Cartoon Network City. That's a memorable era. And it would be sick that Cartoon Network would actually mention it, would actually start mentioning that it ever existed back in the day. That was when they transitioned their logo from checkerboard to the three-dimensional logo, actually. Overall, this is something that should be pictured in our heads. And if only Warner Brothers actually does this, and it would be a wise move. But time will have to tell. And besides, Cartoon Network today, they're still running dry, still not making new ideas, and still not like themselves since they've been butchered. And whatever the perceived value is, I think Cartoon Network needs to ample up its existence, like make new video games, like games, and also no, and also start marketing themselves properly on other cable providers and such. And whatever, and without no advertising or other sorts, it can kill Cartoon Network if they're not careful. If the quality of their cartoons or their video games won't match up whatever is deserved. Cartoon Network, please. We are counting on you to ample up your catalog, and try to put back up your viewers again. I want you guys to succeed. And I do not want you guys to starting to fall off like a roller coaster, or that's collapsing and breaking into pieces. I want you guys to succeed. And also, for the love of God, please switch to your checkerboard logo again. I mean, seriously, the checkerboard logo, it's honestly great. I mean, Nickelodeon switched back to the iconic Splat logo, but it's more modern. Why can't you bring back your checkerboard logo? And also make a fresh, brand new reboot of the checkerboard era. Or else, make a new Cartoon Network City or something. Make the actual same same structure and layout as the one from the 2000s, and do not make a reincarnated one. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and have a great day. And also, if you guys want a link to the Cartoon Network Kart Racing wiki page, I'll provide a link in the description.